to join as soon as possible. It's already 9:35. Okay, so sharing my screen with all of you of Excel file. Keep your calculator as well as your book and pen along with you. It will be required in today's lecture, guys. Okay, so here I have the screen in front of you. Let's see that screen very carefully. Aditi has joined, Dhruvi has joined, Charmi has joined, Kajal too, Yash Agarwal too, Chitra too, Vidya Dhananjay has joined as well. Good. Okay. Now let us try to understand the concept of bond first and why there is any requirement of a bond from the person who is issuing it and from the person who is taking it. So the person who is issuing it, no, he is requiring obviously some capital from you. That's why he has issued the bond. Now who can be the issuer of the bond? Issuer of the bond can be the government. The issuer of the bond can be the corporates, companies. The issuer of the bond can be the RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Now why they are issuing it? Because they need the capital from us, right? Say if as far as the sources of finance are concerned, no, these issuers have various options and choices. First option they have, they can go issue the equity, that is the ownership. If we are talking from the perspective of the company, there is another alternative for which they can get the money from the various people, and that is by taking the loans and advances, or we can call it a borrowings. Sorry, advances will not be the proper word, borrowings will be the better word. Okay, the loans and borrowings can be taken from either the bank or it can be taken from public at large. Now when you go to the public at large, try to understand, can you say them that you will have to invest 10 crore of rupees, you will have to invest 15 crore of rupees, you will have to invest 100 crores of rupees, which is the loan requirement we have? No, because it is too much for them, right? If you are going to the normal public, then your loan shall be available in the bits and pieces. Say 100 rupees or 200 rupees or 1000 rupees. So you issue a one particular unit of that particular bond. Say you are issuing one unit at 100 rupees. So public at large will be subscribing to the number of units as per their requirements. Some of you would be having the capacity to invest in 1000 number of bonds of 100 each. They would be investing in 1000 numbers. If some do not have that much of a capacity and would be just buying say 50 or 100 bonds of this 100, they would be making the 100 number of, they would be making in the investments of 100 number of bonds. So when companies are issuing the debt to the public at large, when the companies are issuing the borrowings to the public at large, at that point of time they will have to divide that borrowing into bits and pieces. Now these borrowings which are divided into bits and pieces shall be transferable as well. Say if one person has subscribed, that is A. If A want to liquidate his position, A do not want to remain in this bond now. So do we have any, do that particular person A is having any option to transfer his bond to someone else? Say he wants to liquidate his position and want to sell to the B. Now there has to be a specific procedure which is clearly established to transfer the bond from A to B. So for that, there can be a secondary market trading in the NSE or as well as in the BSE for these particular bonds. So try to understand this. Now there is a possibility that company may say that, see, we do not want to issue the bonds to the public at large. Let's issue the bonds to the institutional investors. Institutional investors. Now, who are those institutional investors? Institutional investors are the mutual funds, they are the pension funds, they are the people who are having, they are the insurance companies. These are the people who have collected the money from you for the various purposes. If they are the insurance company, they have collected the money from you by receiving the premium from you, and they have gathered a lot of amount from them. If they are the pension funds, then also they have gathered a lot of money from you. If they are mutual funds, obviously they have gathered too much of money from you in bits and pieces by issuing the units of the mutual fund. So what they will be doing, they would be investing their money somewhere into bonds and equity. Now that depends upon the type of mutual fund that you have already studied. If the mutual fund is debt oriented, or majority of the portion of the mutual fund is going into the debt, then obviously they are going to invest in the various bonds issued by the company, by the government of India, and by various issuers. So this institutional investors are those people who are investing in the lump sum amount because they are having a too much of purchasing power. They have collected 1,000 crores of rupees of funds from the people, and that's why their bargaining capacity is also very good. So sometimes, in order to avoid public this offering to the public at large, because if you will be giving this to too much of people, no, then there is a possibility that you will have to incur too much of an administrative exercise, uh, too much of an extra efforts you will have to take because n number of buyers will be there, and you will have to follow the procedure of FPO and an IPOs and all those kind of things. Now, in order to avoid that kind of a legal burden, company may say that there are already some institutional investors. Why not to offer them? Now, say if they are offering the bonds to the institutional investors. So what these institutional investors are going to get in the return? Obviously, the interest. And whatever the interest they are getting, they would be adding to their funds. Say if they are the mutual funds, so म्यूचुअल फंड्स का जो वैल्यू होगा उस म्यूचुअल फंड्स के वैल्यू में इंटरेस्ट ऐड हो जाएगा, तो आपका म्यूचुअल फंड का वैल्यू बढ़ जाएगा. एज सिंपल एज दैट. So there can be various people who will be investing in the bonds. Number one, there can be uh, these institutional investors, and number two, it can be public at large. Now it depends on the requirement and the needs of the people, this corporate people who wants to issue the bonds to the public, and as per their requirements and needs, the bonds will be issued. That is a one thing. Now government may also issue the bond. Right till now we were talking about the corporate bonds issued by the companies. Now there can be a government which can also issue the bond. Sir, how we can invest in those bonds? I'm coming to that later on, just in a minutes to come. Now government would be requiring the money for the various purposes. Say this, they want to develop some infrastructural project of road connectivity, or there can be specific purpose as well. That can be for some companies as well to survive certain operations as well. Say if government has issued the bonds for the infrastructure development. So there is, you must have seen that National Highway Corporation of India has issued the infrastructural bonds. Now what they would be making after this money? Once they gather this money, which is 1,000 crores of rupees, obviously now they would be investing into the various projects, and what they will give to you in return, they will give you the interest in return. So there can be a government bonds as well. There are certain government securities. You can go to the site which is NSE Go Bid. That is a particular application or a website. You can go over there. There is a mobile application as well, and you can see n number of bonds from there, and you can purchase those bonds as per the requirement of yours and as per the needs of yours. So government can also issue it. Okay. Now, if the government is issuing it, no, then there can be two people who will be investing it. One can be a banks, and if the banks are there, no, then it will be issued to auction. And if the retail individuals are there, you cannot participate obviously into this auction procedure, because there would be too much of a legal compliances you will have to follow, and it is available only to the institutional buyers and these banks. And if you are a retail investors, then you can go to NSE Go Bid, and then you can purchase it from there. Okay, once these bonds are issued and they are listed into the market, so this is for the first time allotment of the bond, right? Once these bonds are already issued and they are traded in the market, now they are listed in the NSE or BSE, then you can go to the NSE or BSE, and from there you can again purchase it by using your portal. So when it comes to the first time allotment of the bonds, no, that is primary market, I'm talking about it for the primary market. Then you can go to the bank will be doing the auction, and say 1000 rupees is the price which government has kept. Banks would be doing the auction, they would be putting the biddings, and the people and the bank which will be putting the higher bidding, no, obviously would be allotted the higher lot of these government bonds. So government has issued it for 1000 and someone is putting the bidding of 1060. So obviously the person who is putting the bid of 1060, he would be given a higher lot if highest bid is 1060. So accordingly, as per the bids, these bonds will be issued to the banks. Now once these are issued for the banks, then that would be listed. If some of the banks wants to sell it, they would be able to sell it through the market as well. They would be able to sell it through some other procedures as well. But in the secondary market, where the bonds are traded, no, there is a less liquidity as far as the Indian markets are concerned. US markets are very matured. Over there is happening, trading is happening on normal basis, and there is enough liquidity in the market as far as the bonds are concerned. But in India, we haven't seen a good liquidity, because there are no sellers of the bonds in the secondary market, and if you put the order, then there is a possibility that after so many number of days your order might get some the seller. So there is no enough liquidity available in the Indian markets. But yes, US and certain other Europe markets are very much developed as far as the bonds are concerned. Okay, so there can be issued by the government. Now there are various types of the bonds as well. One type of a bond, if I uh, give you a brief idea about it, no, is the zero coupon bond. Now, what is the feature of the zero coupon bond? As the name itself suggests, there is zero coupon. Coupon mane ke interest rate. So we are not going to receive any interest rate from it. Then, sir, what is the benefit to us if we are investing in that bond? But the benefits for you is that you are right now investing at the discounted price. Say the price of this bond is just 85, and at the time of a maturity you will be given 100 rupees. So 100 rupees is the maturity price, and this 85 is the cost for you right now. So instead of interest, what is you are getting over here? You are getting the capital gain, because the amount of investment you had of 85, at the time of a maturity you are going to get 100 rupees out of it. So it is a zero coupon bond, sir. There is no interest on it. So on this 85 rupees you are not going to receive any interest, because only benefit which you are getting over here is the capital appreciation, right? So when the bonds will be matured, 100 rupees would be given to you. So that is a zero coupon bond. There can be normal category, that is the fixed income bond, or it can be a variable interest bond. Okay, sir. So when these companies or these government institutions are issuing, no, majorly, if you see, they are the fixed income bonds. So that they have the fixed percentage of an interest, say 8%. They have a par value, say 1000 rupees is the par value of one bond. On this, the interest will be paid, right? They have the issue date. Okay, on this date the bonds are issued. They have the redemption date as well, that on which particular day this bond will be taken away from the people. Obviously the difference between the redemption and issue date would be the time period of bond. Say it would be 3 years, or it would be 5 years, or it would be 10 years, or it would be 40 years. There can be a longer period of time as well. And if this is not a fixed income, there can be a variable interest bond as well, which can be over and above the repo rate. So say if whatever the repo rate is been there right now, plus some percentage of interest, so 2% or 3%. So repo rate can be increased or decreased as per the requirement of the Reserve Bank of India, as per the feasibility of the various policies, economic as well as monetary policies of the Reserve Bank of India. So say repo rate is 5%, and additional cover you get 2% on the board. So repo rate plus 2%. So what comes around 5 plus 2 would be 7% of the return you'll be getting for that particular period. Say repo rate is just 11%, 4%, and 2% cover up you get over there. So 4 plus 2, so you will be getting 6% of interest. So it is a variable interest bond, right? So there can be bonds like this as well. You can go to the NSE Go Bid application. Again, I'm stating this name, where you can find every type of a bond, and you can invest directly from there as well. Okay. Then there can be inflation linked bond. Inflation linked bond. Okay, sir, what do we understand by the inflation linked bond? So these are the bonds which will cover up at least the inflation. Because sometimes what happens that, if I give you a one series simple example, if you had invested in one particular bond and that gives you the interest of say 7%, right? And this bond is having the maturity of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 years. So every point of time you are going to get the interest of 7%. But sir, say in year number one, the inflation rate, the Monguvari there was 4%. Here it was 3%. Here it was 8%. Here it was 10%. Here it was 11%. Ideally speaking, you are in the loss in these three particular years, because you are just fetching the interest of 7%, which is not even able to cover up the inflation. Because of the inflation, your purchasing power has been reducing over a period of time. What you were able to purchase in 100 rupees in year number 3, you are not able to purchase from this 100 rupees in year number 5. Your purchasing power has reduced to a significant extent. You are in the loss. You are just fetching the return of 7%, but the inflation rate is 8%. Say if I give you example, the things that you were able to buy at 100 rupees in year number 2, you will be paying 108 rupees in year number 3. But in the bonds, you will get only 7 rupees. So the things which you are supposed to buy, which you want to buy, the value of those particular things or the price of those particular things have increased to 108. But your return is just 7%. So 1 rupee you are in minus. So many of the students tell me that, sir, in the UPA government, when Manmohan Singh was ruling, no, UPA 2 government, our GDP was growing at 8 or 7%, 9%. We were getting good interest rates on the fixed deposits. At that point of time, the fixed deposit were fetching around 9 to 10% of returns. Right now, it has decreased to 7 to 7.5%. So people are of the opinion, sir, fixed deposit के ऊपर तो interest rate ये government ने कम कर दिया. But beta, have you studied about the inflation at that point of time? The average inflation used to be around 7 to 8% at that point of time. Before the COVID, if you find the average inflation of this government, no, that was around 4 to 5%. Now you tell me, in 7.5% of return, if there is just a 4% of the inflation, then effective earning you have done is of 3.5%. Yes or no? Here in this case, if you are earning say 9% and 8% is the inflation rate, so your effective earning is just a 1%. So as a finance person, your primary task as far as the returns are concerned, no, is to see that whether you will be able to cover up the inflation or not. If you are not able to cover up even the inflation from your investment, then there is no meaning of this investment, because your purchasing power has not increased at all. In fact, it would be reduced. Say in year number 5, we take the example of this. The inflation rate reached to 11 percentage and your return was just a 7 percentage. So effectively you were in minus return 4 percentage. So there are certain inflation linked bonds. So how there would be, say they would be giving to you that inflation rate, whatever the inflation rate in the economy is going right now, inflation rate plus 1 percentage we are issuing. So that would be the rate of yours. So whatever the inflation rate would be coming over a period of time, over and above that 1 percentage would be given to you as an interest. So your inflation rate is covered. No, you are right now assured that at least inflation rate is covered, and over and above that you are getting the 1 percentage more return. So you will never be in a loss as far as the inflation is concerned. So there are certain bonds which are inflation adjusted bonds as well by the government of India. You can go to the NSE bid website and inflation adjusted bonds will also be shown to you. Are you all getting it, guys? Till now, any doubt, any question? If anything you want to understand in a great detail, you can let me know. Just I'm giving you a brief idea about the bond and I'm clearing the entire market of the bond right now. Everyone, keep giving me the confirmation so I can move ahead, guys. Unmute yourself. Any doubt over here?
No, sir.
Very sure?
Yes.
दिल पे हाथ रख के बोल रहे हो कि सर को बुरा ना लगे इसलिए बोल रहे हो? सर आप इतनी मेहनत करते हो और हम बोले कि नहीं समझ में आया तो कैसा लगेगा, इसलिए हम नहीं बोलते, वैसा है? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Okay, good. So there are various parties and there are various types of the bonds. If I give you the brief idea about it again, then let's see that for taking the loans and borrowings, companies are having the two alternatives. One alternative which company is having, that they can go to ownership, which in which they can issue the equity. But if they do not want to issue the equity, they want to take the loan, and there could be various reasons for the company not to issue the equity. There are various pros and cons of various sources of finance that you have studied in your corporate finance as well, or somewhere in your IFS or some other kind of a subjects. So companies might be of the opinion that we do not want to issue the equity. Instead of that, we want to go with the debt. In debt, there would be a fixed percentage of interest that they are going to pay. So debt can be issued to the institutional investors, issued to the public at large. The institutional investors can be those banks. Okay. So there can be a government as well which can issue these bonds. Government can issue it for the various purposes. Say they want to issue for the infrastructural purposes, they want to issue for some longer period of time to facilitate certain projects, to facilitate certain requirements of the government related to the defense. There could be a defense bonds as well. If the especially if you take the increased conflicts with some of our neighbors, unfortunately we have got those kind of neighbors like Pakistan and China. The defense requirement has increased a lot nowadays, so we'll have to improve our defense infrastructure very rapidly to survive against China and Pakistan. If there would be an attack from both the fronts, then we should have a sufficient machineries sufficient equipments to fight with both those unhealthy neighbors. So government may come up with the defense bonds as well to upgrade their, and obviously they would be paying the interest on it. Okay. Now, if the governments are issuing it, then they would be issuing it first to the auction. So in auction, banks and these institutional investors would be making the participation over there. As a retail investor, you cannot go. But yes, if you still want to participate in that, then you can go to the NSE GoBit, and from there you can purchase this particular bonds. Okay. Once these bonds are issued, then these bonds will be listed in the stock exchanges, NSE or BSE, if those bonds are going to be listed. Once they are listed, then you can purchase as a retail investor directly from the secondary market, that would be NSE or BSE. I have already stated the various types of the bonds as well. It can be zero coupon bond, it can be fixed income bond, variable interest bond, it can be inflation linked bond as well. And I have given you the advantages and disadvantages of all these particular bonds. Okay. Now, what are the benefits that you get if you invest in the bond? First and foremost benefit that you get is there is a capital protection. At least you know that your capital is going to be protected. What amount of investment that you have invested right now, no, at least you are going to get that much of a return back. But if you go to the equity shares, and some of your friends would have suggested you the companies like Yes Bank, when they were ruling at 400 or 500 rupees, when they were trading at 300 or 400 of rupees, and the value is right now 11 rupees, and over there too it is struggling. So your capital you have lost from 400 to 11. Try to understand what is the amount of capital you have lost on one particular shares, 390 rupees. And if you would have invested in say 100 shares, your loss would have been right now at around 39,000, 40,000. So capital protection is the first benefit you get when you invest in the loan bonds. But nowadays bonds are also not very much secured, because if you invest in the bonds of the companies like Yes Bank, then there is a problem again. They have defaulted in payments of this bonds as well. There are various companies which have defaulted. So for that there are certain credit rating agencies. Whenever you are purchasing any bond from the market, no, from the secondary market or from this NSE website which I have stated, there are credit rating as well available along with that. And there are various credit rating. I'm not going into the detail of those particular ratings right now. There can be AA rating, there can be BBB rating, there can be BB positive, BB negative. So there are various categories of rating of those bonds. They would be rating it based on the solvency, based on the the chances of default, the based on the viability of the financial projects of the company, based on the stability of that particular company, earning growth. And after taking so many other factors into account, they will be reaching to a one particular rating, and there is a systematic process to do that rating. So accordingly you can see the rating, and then you can invest. So there is a one benefit you get, that is sir, capital protection. Number two, you get fixed income, or you can say fixed return. Your return is fixed. Say if you are investing in the zero coupon bonds, then you are already aware that your investment is going to be 85 rupees, and what you are going to get in return 100 rupees. So there is a fixed return which is there, 15 rupees, which is not going to go anywhere. So you are assured. In equity, you are not assured, because you might get the return, you might not get the return. Yes, if you'll be getting the return, you'll be getting like anything. Some of the companies have increased from 100 rupees to 1000 rupees as well. But there is no fixed guarantee given to you that you will be given that particular return. Right? So there is another benefit, that is fixed income and return. And because of this, you may have a sense of a safety, that at least you will not be losing your capital, at least you will not be losing your fixed income. So in your portfolio there has to be a particular portion about the fixed instruments as well, fixed income instruments as well, where there is not too much of a risk as compared to the equity. So balance of your portfolio, right? Now, what percentage of a portfolio shall be in the equity and what percentage shall be in the debt? That depends on requirements of the person to person. That is absolutely ad hoc in nature. That is absolutely a personal experience, and based on the case to case basis, you will have to define and derive a one particular investment strategy. So it differs from person to person. Your age matters. So if you are investing at the age of 30 and if you are investing at the age of 60, your portfolio allocation in the debt and equity would be different. Your dependency would be different. Say if you are independent, but then your percentage of allocation of equity debt would be different. And if you are not independent and dependent on certain other people, then also it would be different. It depends on the amount of disposable income you have. Say your disposable income after making the expenses, the amount of savings that you are able to do is say 50,000 rupees, then also it would be different. And if your disposable income is 1 lakh rupees, then also your allocation would be different. The amount of wealth which you possess, accordingly, there would be a different amount of portfolio allocations to the different people. According to the risk awareness, risk averseness, or I can say a risk taking capacity, your portfolio allocation would be different. Whether you are single or married, that also affects. How many number of children you have, that also affects your portfolio. So there are various factors which affects your portfolio. These are the various benefits you get. So now what we are going to do is we are supposed to find the value of bond. This was the theoretical part, which is not a part of the mathematics, but I was supposed to give you that brief overview because before we start valuing the bonds, various types of bonds, we must be aware about the various types of the bonds, kind of advantages and disadvantages we get, various features of the bonds. So what we are supposed to find is the value of the bond. We can call it an intrinsic value. Now, as an investor, your concern is that, sir, whether we should invest in the bond or not. Why we should invest in that bond? Whether our required rate of return is say 8% is getting satisfied by investment in the by making the investment in this bond. And if that 8% is not satisfied, then I do not want to invest in this bond. So your requirement is one particular percentage. Accordingly, you will be comparing that what are the various benefits that you are going to receive from this bond and what are the various costs associated with these bonds. Every evaluation in the finance will happen by doing this benefits and cost analysis. Benefits and cost analysis. Now, when I say benefits and cost analysis, that means those benefits and cost must be clearly measurable in terms of money. हाँ सर मुझे सेटिस्फेक्शन हुआ, तो सेटिस्फेक्शन हुआ तो उसको मेजर नहीं कर सकते. सर मुझे बॉन्ड में इन्वेस्ट करके शांति मिली, तो शांति मिले तो शांति तेरे पास रख भाई, शांति का कोई मतलब नहीं है. इधर इधर पैसे की बात करनी है. पैसा कितना मिला, पैसा कितना देना है. तो यहाँ पे हमें कॉस्ट्स को और बेनिफिट्स को कंपेयर करना है, एंड अकॉर्डिंगली वी विल बी रीचिंग टू अ कंक्लूजन दैट वेदर वी शुड इन्वेस्ट इन दैट पर्टिकुलर बॉन्ड और नॉट इफ दोस डिटेल्स आर गिवन टू यू. So here you compare the present value of cash inflow with present value of cash outflow. So whatever the present value you have from the bond, two inflows you will be having. One inflow is the interest and another inflow is the maturity amount. Now obviously the maturity amount you will be receiving once the maturity period will be over, say after 10 years or 15 years or 20 years of this bond. And interest you receive over a period of time on every year basis or on every 3 monthly basis or on every 6 monthly basis, depends on the type of interest payment which bond offers. So what your task is to find that what is the present value of all the cash inflows from that particular bond. Two types of cash inflows you have. One is the maturity amount that you are going to receive once the maturity period will be over, and there is another type of a return which you get, that is interest, which you receive over a period of time. And if you do the present value of all these returns and maturity, you will be comparing that present of all the inflows with the present value of your outflow right now. Say this present value of cash inflow is coming at 100 rupees, and the present value of cash outflow माने के the amount of investment which you will have to do now is say coming at 90. Then can someone tell me whether we should invest in this bond or not? My question is to all the students who are listening to me. If the present value of cash inflow is 100 and the present value of cash outflow is 90, whether you should invest in the bond or not, my question is very simple. I'm putting it across to all the people who are listening to me. Let me know the answer by unmuting yourself voluntarily. I hope my question is very much clear to all the students who are listening to me. Are you all listening to me? Yes or no? Let me see the chat box. Chandni is saying we should invest. Vidya is saying we should invest. Yash is saying we, and Kajal is saying we should not increase because there is 100 rupees of loss. Okay, try to understand this question again. All the people who are listening. All the present value of cash inflows. Now you get the two types of cash inflows as far as the bonds are concerned. One is the interest period, another one is the maturity amount. Maturity amount you are going to receive at the end of the 10th year. So obviously the value which you are going to receive at the end of the 10th year is not equal to the value of the today. So you are supposed to find the present value of that maturity amount and the present value of all the interest which you are going to get from this particular bond. So you will be doing the total of all these benefits. So you get present value of cash inflow that comes around 100 and the present value of cash outflow is just 90 rupees, whether you should invest in the bond or not. So all those people were saying to me that, sir, we should invest. They are correct. They are correct because this is undervalued bond. Undervalued. The present value of cash inflows, the benefits that you are going to get is 100. Benefits are more than the cost. This is the cost. And if the benefits are more than the cost, you should be investing in that bond. What is the meaning of it? That your rate of return requirement expectations is satisfied from that bond. So that's why you should invest. If I give you another example, say intrinsic value of the bond. Now you have come to know that what is the meaning of intrinsic value. That is present value of cash inflow. Intrinsic value of the bond is coming at 95 and that particular bond is available in market at 98. This is the market price. Now when I come to the market price, when I say market price, that means it is present value of cash outflow. Why I'm doing present value of cash inflow and present value of cash outflow instead of IV and market price? Because you are already aware about the terminology. In your corporate finance, you have already gone through with those concepts, finding the NPV, IRR and all. Now you can tell me whether you should invest or not. You can unmute yourself and let me know.
No.
We should not invest. What is the reason why we should not invest? Because obviously, sir, present value of cash outflow is more than the present value of cash inflow. That means cost is more than the benefit. And if the cost is more than the benefit, we should not invest. So this is how we are going to take the decision as far as the bonds are concerned. I'm not going to go into the technical aspects of the bond because that is not the part of the syllabus, but I had given you the brief overview of the various types of the bonds and various features of it, because before calculating, we should have a fundamental knowledge about the bonds. That is the one thing. In financial mathematics, this is not in the syllabus. This things whatever I've said, no, this is not in the syllabus, but still I have done it just to give you an overview about the bond. Okay, our focus will be over here. From the perspective of the investor, we are going to see that whether we should invest or not. Okay, so from next lecture onwards, we'll be solving the sums on bonds and we'll finding the interest rate yield percentage from that bond. And that is it from my side. Do not leave it. I need to take the attendance of yours. So just give me a 1 second. I'm finding the attendance of yours. I'm sharing that through a Google chat box of us. Give me a second. Okay, so this is BBA FM class. Till that point of time, you can let me know that whether you have come through with the technical aspects of the bond, guys, in any subject of yours till now. Have you already studied the bonds and types of bonds and everything somewhere? Just let me know. You will have to you I mean आपको मुझे बताना पड़ेगा आपको unmute करके, because I'll not be able to see the chat box. I'm opening the file of attendance. BBA FM. Let me allow the responses. Okay, so I'm copying this now again. Copy. And I'm sharing that to you in the chat box. Control V, pressing enter. So everyone would be able to see the attendance in the chat box. Please file your attendance, fill up the requisite details, and once the attendance is filed, then you may leave the class. Bye-bye. Take care. Sayonara. Have a great day ahead. Bed pe sote rehna nahi hai. The biggest thing you can do as far as the inspiration is concerned, I was listening one of the speeches of one of the army major of United States of America. He said that the biggest thing you can do is to get off your bed. So any motivation or any inspiration which you are taking for doing so much of a work, the first thing you should do is to get off your bed. खड़े हो जाओ और काम पे लग जाओ बेटा. So 19 responses I have got till now. Only those many students are present or what? I guess 21 was the count. So there has to be one person more, I guess. 21 including myself. Okay, has everyone filed the attendance? If not, then let me know. Okay, I guess everyone has filed it. So let me. Is anyone yet to do it? Let me know. I'm closing it down. Okay, no one. So let me stop accepting the responses. Okay, so that's it from my side. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Take care.